Welcome back to Rhythm and Rome with Benneth, Paul, and Trisha, where we discuss our travel adventures and explore cultural differences, similarities, misconceptions, and all the craziness in between. Get ready for a passport knuckle ride.
First of all, let's start with your big goal. Your goal that you have of this 50 states, 7 continents before you're 50 years of age. Okay, that was the basis for this whole conversation to begin with.
Yeah.
That is amazing, first of all. And then to, I guess, some of it do it yourself. So solo travel as well, correct?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of solo travel mainly the last year, just because life circumstances just kind of made that the way that it is. It wasn't really by choice. It just was, but I was determined, like I love travel so much, being a single person now, I was like, I'm not going to let that stop me from still going and seeing and doing. So I have done some solo travel the last year, and it's been good. Like I wasn't so sure how I was going to like it, but it definitely has its advantages as well. So I've done both. I've done a little bit of everything. I am very, very lucky that I've raised a family of travelers, and I actually have a commitment to my children and they're all grown now, that I will take them on a family vacation every year as long as they keep showing up.
That's amazing.
That's great.
So,
yeah.
As impressive as me, as trying to get to all 50 states and all 7 continents before 50 for myself, my youngest has at 18 had been to all 7 continents.
Amazing.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible, Kimberly. What a gift.
Little goal within my goal, because I had told her I'd take her anywhere for graduation if she hit certain criteria, which she did, and so she picked Australia because that was the only place that she hadn't been. So out of my 3, she's the only one who's been to all 7. My older 2 have not yet been to Australia. So
what inspired you to choose this goal? Like, that's a big
I don't
goal.
even remember exactly when I locked in on that goal. I mean, travel in general, I was inspired because growing up, we didn't do vacation. Like I was born in Missouri. We moved to Virginia where my mom's sisters were when I was 10. I think we went on one road trip to Oklahoma that I remember to see my mom's brother. And we stopped at Graceland in Tennessee on the way. And that's really the only family vacation I remember as a kid. We just didn't get to travel and go places. And so I made a commitment to myself whenever I was 18 and I graduated that I was going on vacation every year. So when I was 18, the very first place I took myself was Disney World. I went to Disney World. Because I hadn't been, and I was like, okay, I'm going to Disney. So that was my first. And then I've planned a trip every year, some more elaborate than others based on where I was in life. Some of them, I mean, I remember, when I was bartending and I would just take $20 out of my tips every night and just put it in a drawer, out of sight, out of mind. I'm like,
that's awesome.
Going on a trip. And then I made a commitment when I started having a family that I wanted to go on one non-kid trip every year and one kid trip every year.
Yeah, that is
so in the spring, every year, pretty much in the spring, I went on a trip without them. And then in the summer or the holiday season, I would go on a trip with them. And we've done that every year for as long as I can remember. They were okay when I went without them because they knew I was going to go somewhere with them later.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, and I bet that just fostered a bond, right? A real closeness within your family, and to have that time
great
together.
Because when we get together as a family unit, we have so many stories. Like we have so much reflection and so many stories. So yeah, it definitely creates good family connection, and I think it's made all 3 of my kids really close too. Even though they they have the normal sibling animosity that siblings have, they do have a connection that I think is really good because of the travel and the experiences as well.
Where's your end of month trip going to be, or so June?
We're going to Germany, Austria, Czechia, and Poland.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it just gives them.
If we don't kill each other in 17 days, I think
you won't.
It's one of the longer ones that we've done as a family. Now I've done some non-kid trips that have been 14 days, 15 days, 17.
Right.
But I think when we did Antarctica, I think that one was 15 or 16 days long because we did Antarctica and then we did Argentina.
Nice.
And so I think that one was close to that length of time. So
Well, you're picking a great time to go to Germany because it's all festivals. So enjoy all the beer.
Well, the really neat thing too is your choice of going Eastern Europe, because a lot of people, that's not the first thing on their list. And I know that you've traveled extensively, but what was the choice in you making this route? Was it something that you all planned together, or was it just the places that you needed to hit for this list?
Well, we did a family presentation. So you've probably seen this.
Yes.
Some other people, like, it was not an original idea. It was totally a stolen idea, but we all picked our place that we wanted to go. And then we did a presentation to the family, and then we voted. And so
that's
you got
fun.
to
No, I love
That's
that.
a lot of fun.
Everyone gets
3,
to participate.
and then whichever one got the most points, which we were all surprised that this was my youngest, Vanessa. It was her trip. And we knew that's where she wanted to go. So it wasn't a surprise when she did her presentation. Everybody else, nobody knew what the other 3 of us were going to present. We all knew what Vanessa was going to present. But she just spent so much time in her presentation.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, right. She nailed it.
Had it all mapped out.
To convince you guys. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Like anything you wanted to know, what the temperatures were, what the, like she just had everything in the presentation. It was just, so she won just simply because she had the best presentation.
Yeah. Sure. That's what it's all about.
There you go.
But it's such an amazing opportunity you've provided them to be able to
Absolutely.
travel and to like do the research, because I want to go where I want to go and I got to convince everybody. But like, have you found, what's been your experience with their ability to adapt to the different places that you've traveled, their ability to just accept the culture, the different types of food? What's been your experience with that as they've grown?
I'm super lucky because all 3 of my children are very open-minded, tolerant, accepting, loving. And I think the travel does help to do that, but I think that's naturally who they are. But they do great traveling. And then my middle child, actually, she's doing a fair amount of solo travel. Actually, she in that same voting, she wanted to go to Spain and Portugal was her pick, and she didn't win. So as soon as she lost, she came back and booked a trip to Portugal for like 5 days by herself.
Of course.
That is
Like, y'all didn't pick my. She's my true middle child. She's like, y'all didn't pick mine. I'm just gonna go do it by myself. So
I bet she already had I bet she had a great time too, because Portugal, you cannot not.
Well, no, would this be her first time to Portugal, you said? Or no, she did already go.
Been. She went in February.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
It happens to be my favorite place.
She traveled to, she's the most well-traveled solo actually out of my family, because I helped her book a trip to Japan. She did a 3-week solo trip to Japan when she was 19 or 20, and then she's been to Guatemala by herself. Now she's been to Portugal by herself. So she doesn't have any problem. So it's given them the confidence to feel comfortable. Well, my youngest is flying out to Texas.
Oh,
she used my airline point. I help them get airline points, and then they go places without me with their points.
Yep.
So she's using her airline points to come to Texas for a concert. I think next week. She's only coming in for a day just to go to the concert and fly home, but she's doing that by herself. So it's made them all confident to solo travel. We've had a general rule of, with food and things, you have to try everything at least once. And so they've done well with that. Now my youngest has decided, since she went away to college, to be a vegetarian. So that kind of limits some of the food trying. But prior to that, her and I, when we went to, where do we have crickets? She's the only one who ate all the bugs with me when we were in Thailand.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
At least you got your in.
For real,
Yeah.
though.
Well, I'm guessing now those would be off limits too.
Yeah,
so.
right, because it's a living thing. Well, so tell us about your timeline. Are you how close are you to meeting this goal?
Well, first of all, when is your birthday, by the way?
My birthday is fast approaching. It is August 8th.
Oh, okay. All right.
This year.
So where am I on the timeline? I just got back from Minnesota this past weekend, which was state 49.
Okay.
So I have one month. Yeah.
That's easy. That seems easy enough. What's the last state?
The last state is North Dakota, and I have a girlfriend who has already committed to going. We're going to actually finalize the last few things on that this weekend, but we're going the weekend of July 18th. So,
Oh, wow,
Okay.
that's so cool.
Amazing.
Well, what's really neat is that we've actually we've talked about, because between the three of us, we have not done the Midwest, of the United States. So this will be really interesting to have you as a source. Well, Paul has, but we have not. The girls have not.
Well, it depends on which states you mean in the Midwest, because I think Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana.
I think there were 3 of them that we had not been to. I think collaboratively, yeah.
I've been to those, but like North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana.
Yeah, I haven't been to Idaho yet. Or is Idaho considered Midwest?
No, that's why I don't think it is. No, so Midwest is like Idaho's
Iowa.
The Midwest is not super well defined in my head. It's
Yeah.
No, not in
But
mine either.
I grew up in the Midwest, so yeah, it's like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, Illinois,
the Great Lakes,
Ohio.
The Great
But
Lakes.
and the continents, where are you on that?
I'm done.
Oh, you're done? Amazing.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm done with the
All right.
continents.
Okay.
Yeah, literally, I
Just
just have North Dakota left to finish the goal.
Amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So wait, you went to North Dakota? You went to South Dakota, but you never just went.
No, because we did it. We did a road trip, and we did Wyoming and Montana, and it was just we couldn't add another thing.
Got
you
it.
know, like it's a point where
Yeah.
and it's the same thing like this with my summer trip this year. I mean, we're going to be so close to Switzerland. We're going to be right near Strasbourg, which I love.
Yeah.
We're going to be like we're right near like so many other things.
You're close to Paris. You're close to
We're
everything.
gone 17 days already. I'm like, okay, there has to
At
be,
some point, you have
to draw the line. So
Yes, exactly.
the line got drawn for North Dakota, and we just didn't get it in on that trip. So now I have to go back and just knock that one out by itself.
Okay.
Now, Kimberly, part of your goal for doing this, I want to do the distinction. You were not driving through; you were actually experiencing. When you
not like
you go
stepping
to
a foot in,
right, and say,
Right.
"Okay, I've been there." No, you are actually going and you're experiencing the culture. You're talking to people. You're doing all those great things that you do, as you should do.
Correct.
So, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Like
Wow.
you have to do something and at least have a meal. Like
That's
preferably
awesome.
overnight. I think Kansas, I did not stay overnight in Kansas. I did it as part of a bigger trip. And so we just spent like a half day there and did, so still, but I think that's the only one that I didn't stay overnight in. I think every other state I've stayed at least overnight, if not like usually long weekend. I've done a lot of them over long weekends.
But Kimberly, I'm sorry, Trisha, but
No, you're fine.
on that, what you just said, it kind of leads into what I was curious about. Out of all the places you've been in, you had a lot of stuff in my mind, because I'm just like, well, I've technically been to 46 states, but then you put your definition on it. Well, one of the states was I did stop off and I went and got something to eat and then I left because I had no interest. But now I'm like questioning myself. Is it really 46 states I've been to now? So that's in my head. But thank you.
I have a girlfriend who they did all 50 and they didn't have any criteria on it. And
I didn't have any criteria. I just thought I stepped
now
in.
they've changed the criteria to they have to land. They have to actually fly into that state. So that would eliminate all the road trips.
Yeah.
So you can always move the goalposts once you've.
Fair enough. But what was the destination that you would think was the one that you were most surprised about? I know you were talking about Minnesota, but was that the one that you were more surprised about out of all the states you've been to already?
I don't know. I mean, that was a trick. Like, there's so many places that I've been kind of surprised. Good, not
good
so
and
much
bad. It could be good or bad. It could be good or
I mean,
bad.
I've decided, sorry if there's any people listening from Portland, but I did not enjoy Portland, Oregon at all.
Oh, that's surprising.
I like Portland.
It might have just been the time that I was there.
Rainy season.
But it was, and I was surprised by that. But
what was it? What was it that stuck out that,
they just were not in a good place. Like there was so much, like it was not clean. Like there was, it did not have a good energy at all.
Oregon and Washington has like a grungy kind of feel.
But it was just, unfortunately the time we were there, tent cities were everywhere. I mean, there was literally literally I have a picture of a sign that says now hiring, sign on bonus, and then right under it is a tent city. Like, like
Wow.
it was just such
Yep.
a, and the sidewalks were dirty with lots of human things. Like, it just was not a good,
Good time, not a good look.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
it
enough.
might have just been a season for them, and it's definitely something that's reversible. So, hopefully they can get through that as a collective. And I mean, they're definitely not the only
Sure.
U.S. city or city that has experienced that chapter. But yeah, I didn't enjoy my time there very much at all.
What would you say was probably the most life-changing trip for you, where you had, whether it's an aha or a new, outlook, or just anything that got to change your mind while you were traveling in one of these places?
That's a tough one. I mean, and there's several that come to mind, but probably, like your more recent ones are easier to remember
Of course.
all of the emotions. So I would say probably if I have to pick just one, like I can pick nuggets from several different trips where I felt
Sure.
that way, but probably my most recent one, well, not most recent, but Bali. I went to Bali in November. That was my first solo trip. Last year was a very tough year for me. Just had a lot of life in last year.
Yeah, when life can life, and when it does.
Yeah, it was a tough year overall on both a work level, personal level, just every level was just a tough year. And I decided that I was gonna go on this trip by myself. I do a goal setting retreat every November, and I had been doing it with a partner for many years, and was like, I still want to go. Bali, I was doing my whole little eat, pray, love.
Yep, I was thinking that.
I was just really drawn to Bali, and just pulling the trigger on going there, even as by myself, making that trek, because it's not a short trek.
Not from the States.
And spending the time there. Now, I did meet up with a travel group when I got over there to do some organized activities, but I did have lots of downtime to myself.
Yeah.
And so that one was probably just empowering, and knowing that, just because all these things in life had changed, I didn't have to change this thing that I love, which is travel. And, I could still go, and I could still have these experiences. So probably from a more recent standpoint, it'd be that one. I mean, from a family standpoint, I don't know. We've had so many good ones, but Thailand and Uganda are probably the top two that were, like seeing the kids and in those places and have those experience. When my kids were younger, I used to let them rotate bringing a friend on our trips.
Nice.
So I always had a bonus.
That is nice. Yeah.
Did you pay for that friend too as well? You paid for the friend too as well.
If you're going to invite the friend, they'd be like, here, you're going to have to pay for the trip yourself if you want to.
Well, actually, I would have. That's exactly what I would have done.
You're cheap as hell, Paul.
That's what I was going to say.
Not what
I'm sorry. That's exactly what I would have done.
I have a lot of, I have had, like, one year we did a cruise, and the parents did help pay for some of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, these trips are not cheap.
One. But I mean, I took a bonus kid to Uganda. I took a bonus kid to Thailand.
But what a gift! What a gift that is.
Yeah, to experience.
And it gives me so much joy to have other people have experiences that I don't take it for granted that I've positioned myself to be able, but it's a top priority for me. So, I mean, it is a top priority for me. I don't cut on a lot of other things because I want to have travel as a priority thing. So I don't ever cut corners on my travel. I'll cut corners everywhere else.
But not travel.
People that I helped, see, they didn't have a passport. They probably wouldn't, probably still wouldn't have a passport if I wouldn't have encouraged them to go on these trips and to have those experiences. And I get a lot of joy. Even my girlfriend that went to Minnesota with me this past weekend, she's well traveled, but she was like, I never would have picked to come here. Like, I'm so glad you asked me to come, because it's not somewhere I would have picked to go. And she had a great time too. And she even messaged me again last night. So, thank you again for taking me to see that, because I would not have picked to go there. And now she wants to go back with her husband because he's into music, and she's like, and the food scene was great. Like,
yes,
like I said, food is high on my list of criteria on how good of a trip I have. There were
Well,
so
they have
many
a British
That's
they have a
awesome.
British pub there that I'm supposed to be going to as well on my birthday because I'm all about the British and that kind of thing. I, like one of my
Yeah, well, I can
favorite
message
places in
you
England.
where they had a Japanese Italian fusion restaurant.
Oh, definitely send me that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Definitely send me
it's
that.
like I was like, wait, where do you get to get a Japanese Italian
Interesting.
fusion?
Well, you've visited quite a few Michelin restaurants, have you not?
No,
Where are you on the
so and
list? Like how many of them?
I don't know. I mean, on the Michelin, I mean, probably maybe 10. We're trying to do the top. I will say no harm against Michelin at all, but there's a world's top 50 list as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I prefer that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Michelin restaurants are considered the best food. It's just the experience
I agree. I agree.
is the
Well,
main
that and they get
source.
so much more expensive as soon as they get that star.
Yeah.
That's for
So,
sure.
Exactly.
That is
So
definitely
it gets
true.
harder to justify the expense. Although,
Yeah.
again, it's to me the experience is worth
Mhm.
saving and planning for. But we did Geranium, which was a top 50 in the world. It was number one on the top 50 in the world in Copenhagen, and
Oh yes,
it
the
was
one
really
that's
cool.
out with the
Yeah,
weird
it's
food.
really cool.
They
I
have
mean,
weird
it's
food.
good. Yeah, it's a good experience. I mean, it was lots of oohs and ahs. I would still say collectively, our family trip, we were in Peru because Lima has a lot of great top 50 restaurants. They have 2,
Wow.
3, 4 in the top 50 and all pretty much all the time. We did Maido, which was Peruvian Japanese fusion called Nichi, and we did just the stars aligned for us to get into there because I had actually had to reroute that trip because we were supposed to go to Antarctica and it got canceled days before we were scheduled to go because of COVID.
Shoot.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And so I had
Yeah.
to completely remap our entire trip. And we were planning to go to Peru in March, April. And so I had to move everything up. Like, thank God I already had an itinerary in place. So I just moved everything up. But it was too short a notice to get into restaurants because those restaurants you have to book.
reserve.
Like,
Yeah, you have to
90
reserve.
days out on a rolling schedule, and you need to figure out the time zone and be online right at midnight when they open, and then you still may not get in. And we left out because one thing we also do as much as possible when we travel is we try to take a cooking class because that
Nice.
is
Yeah.
being exposed to the locals in their space. And a lot of times the cooking class is also coupled with go into a market or go into whatever. And so we try to fully immerse. I did that when I was in Bali. I was the only person on the market tour. So literally I got
That's
the
that is
went to this market
Interesting. Yeah.
Bali and I got to try all these fruits and do all these things and you go back and cook. But we did that when we were in Lima. We took a cooking class and it was a chef who taught these cooking classes out of her house. And so she was well connected in the chef community. So when we went to take the cooking class, or when I booked the cooking class, I messaged her and just said, we really want to try to get into one of these restaurants. Our plans changed short notice. If you know of any way. And she helped us. She helped us get into one. They set up a table in the bar for us. And we had to go at lunch, which was fine. And it was still collectively, I mean, every time my family gets together, we talk about that. It was one of the best.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But when you see people have those experiences where they're just so fully immersed in the, and we did
That's wonderful.
food and wine. And of course, down there in South America, the exchange rate is so much in our favor. Like
it's cheap,
really amazing food experiences for really not that expensive, relatively speaking, compared to Europe. I mean,
Europe is even more cheaper than if you were to do the Michelin.
Yeah, I mean, I paid more money for 2 of us to go to Geranium than I paid for all 5 of us to go. I almost double. I mean, like it's no comparison.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's clear that travel is going to be a priority in your life. So now that you're almost done with this goal, do you have another goal in mind, or for travel?
I mean, I just want to keep traveling, and really my unofficial goal is last 2 weeks of every quarter. And so, I have done that. I went to Colombia the first quarter solo also, which Colombia.
You were in Cartagena, correct?
I went to Cartagena, Bogota, and Medellin.
Medellin, yes.
Good thing you did it before they put it on the no-fly list.
Well, the north, like the part of the border nearest, I think Venezuela or something, like it's still fine except for right near the border.
Yeah.
But no, it was amazing there.
That's what I keep
I
hearing.
would definitely highly recommend it. It was great. But if I can go somewhere every quarter, that's a loose goal. And I'm kind of excited to be done with the kind of rigid, like I gotta stick to these, like, because then I can start revisiting places that I want to go back to Italy. It's on my very short list. I have a girlfriend that wants to go, that where I'm trying to get that planned, but then just starting to revisit some places that I really liked, and then just continuously adding. I mean, I'm hoping
Come on over if you ever wanting to come back to Paris. Come on over.
I love her. So you said places that surprised you. That I've been to several places in France now, and I overall collectively think they have a very unfair reputation for not being nice, because I found them to be delightful.
That's because you were visiting. That's because you're visiting. You're not the only person that has ever said that, Kimberly, but I'm telling you, I've been living here now for almost 5 years. It's because you're visiting.
Okay.
Trust me.
They're not nice.
It's not that they're not nice. Like, I'm a New Yorker, so some people don't think we're
both
nice.
New Yorkers.
Yeah, we're both New Yorkers. So I'm just saying. Matter of fact, I just had an incident today, so I'm just saying.
Dear.
You caught him on the wrong day, Kimberly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just feel like a lot of times sometimes, especially, I mean, not just Americans, because there's other cultures that I think do it too. Sometimes I would say we have a sense of entitlement, but we do kind of carry a sense of entitlement into our travels. And I think if you don't, then the people are very nice to you. And if you do, yes, it puts them on the defensive, and they're not as nice to you.
Sure.
Yeah. And they know that we're arrogant too, because we don't want to speak the language and stuff like that. I get all that, but yes, I agree.
So I mean, I have been a few different times now. I think actually France is probably one of the most traveled, the places I've been the most times, just because I did school trips with both of my daughters, and we landed there. Nice. And then I did a friend trip where we did, the Raw Valley and went a few different places, and went by train, and got lost. I had to walk back because there was no taxis, and we had to walk through
oh my gosh,
a vineyard. It was, I mean, like, so I have a lot of cool, the Champagne region, did all that. So it's really fun there. And I would definitely go back. So
perfect.
So Kimberly, before we say goodbye to you, I can imagine the wealth of knowledge. I do know that this interview has been life-changing for me, because now I have set a new goal for myself. I'm going to take a trip with you once a year. How about that?
All right, I'm for it.
I'll hit you with that quarter goal. But what would you say your top 3 things that, overall, that you try to stick to when you travel?
So if you're anytime, anywhere that you can get into a cooking class, preferably one taught by locals. I mean, that's something we try to do. Like I said, everywhere we go, they're telling stories. They're telling you all about their family and their traditions and their things. So that is something that we definitely try to do everywhere we go. Another thing that I feel like we have 4 of these booked on our upcoming trip, because we're 2 days, 3 days max anywhere we go. So we're hop. We do a lot of walking food tours or guided food tours, because it's just, again, it's a local guide, and they're going to, they take you to places that you probably wouldn't necessarily find on your own. Yeah. And then they also are telling you history as you're walking. So it's just a way to get the most bang for your buck. And even when we're going somewhere for a lengthy time, we typically try to do that at the front end of the trip, because then there might be places that we want to go back and visit. I know. I mean, I've done that even in California. We did it when we were in Napa. There's a little Italian restaurant in the liquor store.
Oh, wow.
And I would have never found it on my own. And now I've taken, because I've gone back there multiple times with different friend groups, and I make everybody go to this little Italian, it's called Clemente's, I think. It's literally, he used to have this big restaurant, and now they just run like a little food counter in the liquor store. And it is amazing Italian food. But I would have never found that if I wouldn't have done the very first time I went, we did this food tour. And then, like I said, now I've taken multiple different sets of people back there and on different visits, and everybody loves it. So that's definitely one that I would, strongly suggest, if you want to learn the culture, the food, and all of that.
Right.
And then just be.
What would you say a third thing would be that you would do, or that you try to incorporate?
Yeah, I mean, we try to walk. It's, like, the good thing of, sometimes that's not practical. I think, North Dakota, that's not going to really, we're not going to be walking to new places, but, just like getting out and walking and, being immersed in the people around. And if they have public transportation, like when I was in Medellin, their public they have a really cool transportation system, and it's tied into sky cars because it's mountainous, and so they take the sky car, but just really getting into what the locals experience. I mean, that's why you're hopefully that's why you're there, because you want to experience and see these different ways of life and living, and so anytime you can immerse yourself outside of just the resort area, or and we do some resort travel too, but we always do day trips out into whatever is local.
Sure. That's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Kimberly, this has just been like amazing. Again, first of all, just getting to speak with you personally, but also doing it with my friends. This is fantastic. Thank you for agreeing to, definitely be part of the podcast. And I really do get
the opportunity. Like I said, it's a first for me, and like anything to do with travel.
This would be good.
So
anything
inspiring.
To do with travel,
yeah.
I'm all for.
Absolutely.
Well, congratulations. I'm going to say congratulations, although you haven't gone yet. So hopefully by the time this airs, you would have gone. But congratulations on reaching your goal of 50 states, 7 continents before your 50th birthday. And I'm sure we're going to wish we'll wish you, on the socials, but personally, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Milestone. I've had,
right?
I don't stress about too many of them, but this one's giving me a little
Don't stress. Just
do not stress.
Be like Nike and just.
I'm on the other side. You'll do fine. You're going to be great. You're way steps ahead of most people, so you are fantastic.
Yeah. You already pushed through the whole thing, so you might as well. So, Kimberly, I really appreciate your time and stuff like that too.
Of course, anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care. Good luck on your interview.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Rhythm and Rome. We're so happy that you're able to join us. Please, if you like what you saw, if you'd like to comment, do so in the box below. But also, give us some ideas of some shows that maybe you want to see, or maybe you have a follow-up question for Kimberly. We would love to hear from you. Please feel free to like, subscribe,
and if you like our content, please support us at buymeacoffee.com/Rhythm and Rome. Sign up for our newsletter. You can do that by visiting rhythmandrome.com.
Bravo.
From cities bright to deserts grand, Rhythm and Rome takes a step.